Good morning, boys and girls. I'm going to read another story to you from the book Frog and Toad. A lost button. Frog and Toad went for a long walk. They walked across a large meadow. They walked in the woods. They walked along the river. At last, they went back home to Toad's house. "Oh, drat," said Toad. "Not only do my feet hurt, but I have lost one of the buttons on my jacket." Take a careful look, boys and girls, at the page, and you'll see that Toad has on a green jacket with white buttons, and I can count 1, 2, 3, 4. He lost one, so altogether he used to have 5, but one is missing. Let's see what happens next. "Don't worry," said Frog. "We will go back to all the places where we walked, and we will soon find your button." They walked back to the large meadow. They began to look for the button in the tall grass. Okay, so here they are. Frog is determined to go back to the tall grass and see if they can't find that button. "Here is your button," cried Frog. "That is not my button," said Toad. "That button is black. My button was white." Toad put the black button in his pocket. So they found a button, boys and girls, but it's not the one that came off of Toad's jacket because it's black and his lost button is white. A sparrow flew down. "Excuse me," said the sparrow. "Did you lose a button? I found one." "That is not my button," said Toad. "That button has 2 holes. My button had 4 holes." But Toad put the button with 2 holes in his pocket. Look at how the sparrow, let's see if you can see that, boys and girls, is carrying the button in its beak. They went back to the woods and looked on the dark path. "Here is your button," said Frog. "That is not my button," cried Toad. "That button is small and my button was big." Toad put the small button in his pocket. Can't believe they're finding so many buttons, boys and girls, but they haven't found Toad's white button yet. Frog sure is trying to help his friend solve this problem. Let's see what happens next. A raccoon came out from behind a tree. "I heard that you were looking for a button," he said. "Here is one that I just found." "That is not my button," wailed Toad. "That button is square and my button was round." Toad put the square button in his pocket. I like the way the raccoon is drawn here, boys and girls. Do you see that raccoon? Even the raccoon is trying to help Toad find his lost button, but he has a square one, and Toad's was round. Now, most buttons are round. Frog and Toad went back to the river. They looked for the button in the mud. "Here is your button," said Frog. "That is not my button," shouted Toad. "That button is thin and my button was thick." That's true. Some buttons can be very thin. Some buttons can be very thick. So they still haven't found the missing white button. Toad put the thin button in his pocket. He was very angry. He jumped up and down and he screamed, "The whole world is covered with buttons and not one of them is mine." Look at how mad he is. He is really having a tough time. He is so angry. And there's Frog trying to think, how can I help my friend? Toad ran home and he slammed the door. There, on the floor, he saw his white 4-holed, big, round, thick button. "Oh," said Toad, "it was here all the time. What a lot of trouble I have made for Frog." Can you believe that, boys and girls? It turns out his lost button was home. He found it on the floor in his home. He's thinking. Let's see what he does next. Toad took all the buttons out of his pocket. He had quite a collection. He took his sewing box down from the shelf. Toad sewed the buttons all over his jacket. Look, here he is, looking at his buttons. Can you see them? And Toad is old enough to know how to sew. He starts sewing all those extra buttons on his jacket. I wonder why. What's he going to do with the jacket with so many buttons? The next day, Toad gave his jacket to Frog. Frog thought that it was beautiful. He put it on and he jumped for joy. None of the buttons fell off. Toad had sewed them on very well. Look at how happy Toad made Frog. He gave him a very unexpected gift. His jacket with all the extra buttons they found as they searched for his lost button. And that's the end of the story, Frog and Toad and the Button. Boys and girls, as you've heard, Toad lost his button. Frog helped him and he didn't give up. He kept trying to help his friend. And then what happened at the end of the story? When the button was found in Toad's own home, Toad realized, I want to give a gift to Frog. He has been so kind to me. I'm going to make him a gift and give it to him. And I'm wondering, boys and girls, if today you can find something in your family, someone or something, and make a small gift to someone in your family. Small gifts bring great joy to the person who receives it and the person who gives it. I've enjoyed reading to you, and I look forward to our next time together. Goodbye, boys and girls.